Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Will Work for Patients, a free advice podcast dedicated to help chiropractors get on purpose and grow their practices. Get ready to tune in and turn up the volume of your practice marketing. And now, turning up the volume on his mic, big-time chiropractic advocate and your host, here is Frank Sardella.
I feel like Jimmy Fallon with a theme song like that. The Chiropractic Tonight Show. Well, thank you, Michelle, for that undeserved but absolutely dynamic intro. And yes, welcome to you to Will Work for Patients, our 9th episode on a beautiful spring Sunday afternoon in the scenic and majestic Hudson Valley region of New York. Just beautiful this time of year after such a long and brutal winter, though I know my client up in Alaska would beg to differ that we suffered here at all. Me, I'm Frank Sardella, and I'm so happy to be here with you today again at our podcast show. I do this show free for you to not only give you marketing help in your practice, but to keep you on purpose, to keep you pumped up, and keep you going. And that's my commitment in a grassroots effort to make a chiropractic world. So welcome, and welcome back, and welcome especially to you newcomers who I know are tuning in since our last episode. We're so glad to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about last time. I'm pretty pumped. Are you pumped? What did you think of episode 8? 2x your screening results. Did you do it? Do you at least look at your screenings differently now? I hope so. And I sincerely hope that you've shifted your view from the I'd like to double my results to why am I getting half of what I should? I mean, that was the moral of the story from that episode. And I hope you took that away from it. And I hope that viewpoint shifted for you. Now, rather here than plugging social media as I often do, I'm going to reduce it down to just saying follow and like us. And you can go to willworkforpatients.com to find all the links. They're all there now. And I only speak in brief because I'd much rather plug our sort of photo contest that we're doing. I'm so excited about this. So much fun. We have lots of photos on Instagram right now. And follow us there, but even if you're not on Instagram, we want you to send in a photo of you with a cardboard sign, like our spokes dude, saying, Will Work for Patients on it, and send it through whatever means. If you're not on Instagram, then tweet it and tag us, or like us on Facebook and tag us. We're having an absolute ball with it. Connect up to our Instagram page from our website. You can see all the kooky photos we have there of our staff, our friends, our clients, etc. Get in the game, will you? It's so much fun. Okay? And if you need to, absolutely, you can also email in with your feedback, your pictures as well. Attach them to an email, frank.screenings@live.com. So make sure you get that in. Would you believe me if I told you we have quite an episode on tap? Quite an episode, indeed. I know I seldom say that, but you know I really mean it when I say it, right? Okay. All right, so today's episode, let's just get right down to it. Closing the uncloseable. You know, how do I do it? I just keep reeling you in with these topics, don't I? I mean, what a title. Certainly one of my best. Really, really just draws you in. Closing the unclosable. I'm really proud of that one. And we're going to teach you how to close the unclosable today. This is sort of a theme we're carrying forward from our last episode. All right. One of the particular features, though, of today, as if the title wasn't enough, is a special guest we're going to have on the show. Yes, we're having our second guest here on Will Work for Patients. We have a guest today who's going to open your eyes to something cost-effective that you might not have thought of. In fact, you definitely haven't thought of if you're listening. She's a close personal friend and a colleague of mine, and she's so vocal about things of importance to wellness, I absolutely begged her to be on the show. And she so graciously accepted, and we're so lucky to have her here today. So what are we going to cover today? First, I'm going to introduce you to a special guest who has much experience in the health and wellness field. And what we have to talk about is very intrinsic to the subject at hand here today. And that subject is a sort of continuation, as I said, of this concept that we forwarded in episode 8 about 2xing your screening results. We're going to give you an actual way that you can use to be able to accomplish what we said in that episode, what you can do with all those non-closes at the screenings, to follow up with them and keep them moving through the various stages on the way to becoming a lifelong patient of your practice. And we're going to show you a way you can use this where it will, in the end, cost little or nothing, and even improve the care you deliver in your office to boot. Talk about ROI, okay? Wow. Impossible, you say? Well, let's get down to proving it to you right now. All that, folks, and a top 10 list too, because you know I can't let you down. Okay, so first, let's get down to business. My guest on the show today hails from the Tampa Bay area in Florida, here in the U.S., but not originally. She's from Johannesburg, South Africa, originally, to be exact. She has a very successful vitamin company there in South Africa, and she also has an equally successful one here in the States. And it's a company that is very relevant to what we're talking about here. She's knowledgeable in nutrition, and she's specialty trained and experienced in doing muscle testing, and she's also helped hundreds of people straighten out their nutritional imbalances. Let's see, what else? Her company, Sunshine Vitamin Products, manufactures a product of interest called Instant CalMag C. And Desiree herself is very active in support of things like, for instance, that we saw in the movie Doctored. She's even seen the film. She speaks out against GMO foods and other hazardous elements in our diets and society and whatnot, and very interested in methods of detox and helping people do so. And she has helped numerous people do so. So without further elaboration on this, allow me to introduce to you CEO of Sunshine Vitamin Products here in the States, Ms. Desiree Lotz. Hello, Desiree. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks a lot. That was very nice.
I'm glad you liked it. It feels funny to be a little formal with you. We kind of let our hair down when we talk on the phone, yeah?
Exactly. It's nice to get somebody's viewpoint about me. I like that.
That's right. Well, I have to be nice on the show. So, Desiree and I, our conversations, much like I mentioned about Dr. Frank Margella when we were talking, Desiree's and my conversations range from a wide variety of things, from activism to health to normal everyday things. So, a little bit strange to have this formal relationship in the interview here, but I think we're going to give it a go nevertheless. I think we can survive maybe a half-hour show. What do you think, Des?
Yeah, I guess we can. Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so Des, thanks again for being here. I'm very, very gracious that you're here. And what we're going to do first, as is traditional in the show, we're just going to put you sort of to the side just for a second, because the first thing we always start with is our top 10 list. And Des, you may even be very interested in this top 10 list today. Yep. Especially since you're seeing a lot of these symptoms. But today's top 10 list is the top 10 screening symptoms over the last 20 years in order of marketability. Now, that's sort of a strange one. And let me explain to you folks what I mean by that. I have been doing this almost 20 years now, and over those years, we've had a lot of changes happen, not just with patients and symptoms and whatever, but just in society with technology and social media and communication and all that kind of stuff. So what happened is I actually noticed in the screening field, in the trenches, that symptoms have evolved. And the symptoms of yesteryear that used to be really popular are now at the bottom of the list, and some of the things are more at the top of the list now that you wouldn't have previously expected. So let's just get this off to a high one. Number 10, lower back pain. Now, this one is perhaps the most ironic, because it's probably the one you're most noted for as chiropractors, is lower back pain. When people think of chiropractors, what do you think of? You think of lower back pain. However, it's the minimal complaint that we now see at screenings, whereas back when I first started, it was the number one on the list. And we're going to get into the reasons of that. Number 9, sciatica, leg pain, extremity pain. Now, mostly leg pain, I'm going to just tell you straight off, okay? At the screenings, I'm noticing more people saying leg pain than anything. However, this is still number 9 on the list. It's at the bottom. It's not a real popular one anymore. Number 8, and this is kind of funny that it's above scoliosis, but I really thought this out, and I know it comes in just a hair ahead of it. Scoliosis, curvature of the spine. Self-explanatory. Number 7, mid-back pain, neck pain, and shoulder pain. Now, these came into popularity actually in the late 90s as texting became more popular. Computers started to appear on everybody's desk at work. Computers started to appear in the home, and people were spending more and more time, and they were starting to complain about mid-back pain, neck pain, and shoulder pain, and that became very popular. And at that time, that moved into the number 1 slot, bumping down lower back pain further down the list, and now it's further down the list. Number 6, and this is a popular one I know you see in your practice, is herniated disc. Now, keep in mind, the reason I'm doing this top 10 list is I want you to have an idea that all of these are marketable demographic symptoms. But I want you to see them in order of importance, and we're building up to something that's very relevant for today's show. So I don't want to get too into herniated disc, but suffice to say there is a market for it, especially for you folks doing spinal decompression in your office. Number 5, digestive problems. Okay. Let's not get too political about this. I could go on and on. Desiree, I'm sure I could get you started on digestive problems that are side effects from drugs and other things and chemicals and toxins that people are having. Digestive problems have moved into the forefront, but yet it's still only number 5 on our list of problems. Number 4, allergies. Des, I don't know, for the same reason probably. The chemical things in society and just all this craziness that's going on. Allergies are at an all-time high. The kids in school, you never heard this when I was a kid, but nut allergies. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. When did you hear about, when you were a kid, a nut allergy anywhere? And all these kids, and you can't have peanut butter in school, you can't even bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Allergies, number 4. Number 3, now we're getting into the top 3 list, and these are very closely related, and I want you guys to pay particular attention to the top 3 on this list. Number 3, fatigue and low energy. Okay? I've got 2 words for you. Red Bull. Okay? Desiree, you like that, right? If you don't believe me, and if you don't even believe how many Red Bull commercials, Red Bull gives you wings, right? I hate to even endorse it or say their tagline, but they got the guy parachuting from space. They got guys flipping motorcycles in the air. People are being sold that they have low energy and they need to take this drink, which is causing the low energy and probably killing them in the process. But fatigue and low energy is a major, major thing, as evidenced by the successful sales of things like Red Bull, 5-Hour Energy, and all these energy drinks. Number 2, and you may not have thought this was right at the top of the list, but sleep difficulties, sleep problems. We are getting insomnia, sleep difficulties, tossing and turning, all those derivatives that you've been hearing from your patients over the years. That is the number 2 thing we get at the screening, but it's only number 2 because it's actually tied with number 3, fatigue. There's actually a pretty even split, okay? But I put sleep problems in there because I found it to be actually a slightly more important one to address with people. And I found a little more success in sort of marketing that one. And the number 1 problem, what do you guys think it is? The number 1 problem, complaint, symptom over the last 20 years that's moved into the forefront at screenings, and that is a marketable thing, is weight problems. Weight gain, can't lose weight, need to diet, can't diet, all those things. Weight problems is number 1. You probably inherently know this. You probably just already factually knew that. But weight problems is number 1. We are going to talk about that briefly, but you'll find today number 2 and number 3, sleep and fatigue, we're going to relate to you. Now, why do I want to actually talk about those today? I'm going to tell you why. Because did you notice that when you go to a screening or you do face-to-face marketing these days, when people tell you they have fatigue or a sleep problem, it's really hard to make that chiropractic connection, isn't it? And that's what I want to talk to you about, because I experienced that problem out there and I had to get around it and solve it, because these move rapidly to the top of the list. It's not about lower back pain anymore, folks, okay? So, and it's amazing how just over 2 decades with the advent of technology, all of this has occurred. And here we are in this dire situation now, it seems, with all kinds of stuff. So, all right, so let's get into it. Now, before I get into showing you how this is going to work, I want to talk a little bit to Desiree about her product that she does. It's actually quite amazing what she has, and I've sort of devised this whole concept based on a few things that she's done with the product and whatever. But let's just back up a little bit. Desiree, I'd like to give our listeners a little bit of background on you.
Okay.
From what I understand, if I'm not mistaken, CalMag C as a product sort of almost started by accident, something to do with a shipment confiscated?
Yep, I come from South Africa, and I had this fledgling vitamin business, and we used to import this instant CalMag product from the USA into South Africa, and suddenly we had a shipment confiscated. And with a small fledgling business, you can imagine the disaster for us. Anyway, as a result, it wasn't just the CalMag, there were many other supplements. As a result, we were forced to start making it in South Africa.
Wow.
I didn't particularly have an interest in making the CalMag, the instant one, because I, at that point, was using the basic powders along with apple cider vinegar and mixing my own and so on. But then I had a few customers who were using this instant one, and I used to bring it in for them. So I kind of felt forced to get into making an instant one, and I tried the imported one myself, and I thought, oh, I don't know what they see in it. I'll rather carry on with my one.
Yeah.
And then when I started to make my own, I thought, well, I have to test it first. I can't just give it to my customers and I don't know.
I see.
And then I tried it, and it was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe the effect it had on me. So that's how it basically started.
Wow. So quite literally by accident. You weren't even planning.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the story, let's look at the background then. So since it was by accident and you weren't really planning on getting in the CalMag business, what exactly were you doing at the time? I understand you were doing a lot with vitamins. You were doing detox and things like this, and CalMag was sort of an intrinsic part of that.
Yeah, basically, this detox program that I'm trained in, it needs these vitamins and it needs this CalMag, but it was using the original formula, which is the 2 powders and the vinegar, and that was what I was doing. And then this happened, so I was forced to start bringing it in, and so that's how the story began.
Wow.
And so we manufacture our own vitamins and we manufacture our own CalMag, and so I'm very happy and very proud of the product.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You should be.
Yeah. Thank you.
I myself have used the product, and I do use it. My family uses it, so I can definitely attest to that. Interestingly enough, and just as a side note, I think as far as the detox program you were doing, sort of you got into the vitamin business, didn't you, because of the detox program you were doing and the lack of availability of vitamins in South Africa at the time?
Yeah, what happened was they ran out of vitamin B1, and it was Christmas. Christmas was approaching, and that's a very key time in South Africa because that's our summer, and lots of people do the program. And so I couldn't allow that to happen, and took it very personally and rushed around South Africa until I found some vitamin B1 to help. At that point, I wasn't in the vitamin business, but to find the B1 so that they could continue. Yeah. And actually, that's how it started, was like on this impulse to help.
Wow. Fantastic. And so here, I mean, that almost seems accidental that you got into the vitamin business. So you've stumbled on quite a few businesses here.
Yeah.
Most people would love to stumble on the luck that you've had. So
yeah, that's fun.
That'd be great. Okay, so let's do this very briefly, because again, for me to talk about like how you're going to use this, because our whole point of this episode is how we're going to use this to get new patients, and our podcast here is about marketing. But before I get into that, I'd like to discuss a little bit about the formulation of CalMag C, Instant CalMag C, why it's formulated that way, what you found is needed, and why you sort of, why it became sort of the superior product that it became. Because for me to explain its use in practice, I really need to have a little background. So could you give us a little bit of detail on that?
Yes, should. Well, the calcium and magnesium need to be 2-to-1 ratio when you take it into the body. And in addition to that, these two minerals are alkaline in structure, and the body cannot use them. So first of all, if you're low on magnesium, the body's going to pull it out of the body to balance it up with the calcium. And vice versa, if you're low on calcium and you take magnesium, it's going to do the same. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is it has to be in the right pH in order for the body to absorb and use it. And generally speaking, apple cider vinegar or vitamin C to adjust that pH so that it's in the right range, the body can then absorb it and distribute it as needed. If you don't have that, for example, then the calcium can deposit in your joints and your kidneys and in various other places, and that, as we know, causes arthritis or whatever, just kidney stones and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's very important to have the formula has to be correct, and it has to be in that balance with the pH correct. And an important aspect here is calcium gluconate as opposed to calcium carbonate. We do not recommend carbonate because that is rock. Calcium gluconate actually converts to bicarbonate in the body, and that's how the body can use that.
I understand.
And I don't know why they've used the same word, carbonate, but anyway, they have.
Yeah, I guess they have. Well, crazier things have happened, but So that brings up something interesting, actually, because when you look at those things, you can all of a sudden look at all this array of symptoms that the chiropractors look like that we deal with, and what have you, and you can see where supplementing these things can be necessary and can be very helpful. But I was also thinking, like, specifically with athletes, and the only reason I say this is a lot of chiropractors who listen to us and who we've met deal with a lot of sports in their practice, more so than you might think, actually. It's very, very popular these days and becoming more and more popular. And I know with regard to the muscles and the effects calcium and magnesium both have when in proper ratio and all that, can be quite helpful in not only training but rehabilitating, injury fixing, and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And here's what's interesting, Des. I'm actually on the CalMagC website. There is a specific page for chiropractors, and I was particularly intrigued. There's a story here. I guess I'll just read it. Next to what it says, athlete chiropractor, and he says, I use CalMagC primarily as a mineral supplement, especially in summer months when I'm losing high volumes of fluid while training. Very interesting to me. It helps aid my recovery from long runs and essentially cures muscle cramping. And he put cures in quotes. While using this supplement, I discovered that my sleep patterns improved dramatically. I was waking up less during the night, which is always a problem for me after exceptionally hard training sessions, and my overall muscle soreness was reduced. Patients of mine know that I do not endorse a product unless I am truly committed to it. How could I not be excited to share this with my patients? That's from a guy named Dr. Ted in Pennsylvania. Des, I'm very interested in this one too, because more and more of the chiropractors that we've been working with in practice and our coaching are into this thing called CrossFit. You've heard of this?
Oh, yes.
And CrossFit is extremely intense training. And these, exactly what he said here, I'm hearing more and more from doctors. So there's also sort of a sports market for this, isn't there?
Absolutely. Can I just explain a little bit about kind of what calcium magnesium, which maybe most chiropractors would know this. Sure. It helps the conductivity of the nervous system. It's very, very key in that conductivity. And if you're low on it, you could either have spasms, or it's another symptom of an inability to relax, which is where the sleep thing comes in too. So it kind of can be, if you're deficient in that and you're using it up as you're doing your athletic action, whatever you're doing, you're using it up, or you're burning it up, or you're sweating it out, or you're urinating it out, you're losing it constantly. If you don't have enough, then spasms and all kinds of these unpleasant symptoms can occur. Wow. So it is very key, and this is what this Dr. Ted is referring to from that point of view.
Yeah,
I answered the question.
Yeah, no, that's great. And in fact, that goes beyond answering the question, but it's exactly what I'd like to communicate about this, because here's and you tell me if you agree with this. Here's my perception of it, that a chiropractic adjustment is miraculous in itself, but in the absence of these two vital essential minerals, it really wouldn't mean anything, or next to anything. I'm not saying a chiropractic adjustment wouldn't help, but there's a lot to do with nerve energy flow, isn't there?
Absolutely, and actually you made a very good point there, and this is something that I'd like to just mention. Very often a chiropractor guy comes in, he's got this severe thing, the chiropractor fixes it, the guy feels okay at that point, he leaves, but then the symptoms hit him hard again, and it looks like the adjustment wasn't effective, which is possibly mostly not true. Right. What is actually happening if the nervous system if the body does not have the calcium and magnesium, which is to help create this electrical flow so that the muscles can unspasm, it's going to spasm up again, and then it looks like the chiro hasn't done his job as well as he could, or whatever, and it has a bad reflection on his skill, which can be a total falsehood, because it just might be that the nerves need some help.
Wow. Yeah, that you just said a mouthful there, Des, because that actually sort of leads into our main point of today, which is the point that I felt when I got excited about this particular product. Which, by the way, I should mention is just a basic retail product. It sells on stores and, store shelves of, health food stores and things like that, but also mainly marketed through chiropractic offices. It's not multi-level in nature or anything. I should give that little disclaimer here, because a lot of people get, turned off or whatever, not to say anything bad about anything that's network marketing. But it does sort of set up that, the overall marketing scheme of an office is really, your marketing is really what your brand is, how you deliver care, how patients get well in your office, and anything that enhances your marketability and the results you're getting, and also the word of mouth that goes out about you, and anything that can help your adjustments but be better than they are in the 48, 72 hours that you see between patient visits, and you only see them for under an hour, and then they're gone for 48 hours. We want to do anything we can to really make their healing great, make them keep wanting to come back, and make them understand that, hey, this chiropractor is doing something for me. So that sort of leads us into that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly the whole point I'm trying to make here in today's episode, and that's the idea on how to use something like this in marketing. Now, and Desiree, if you don't mind, for a minute, I'm going to sort of make a sort of a marketing point here. Okay. The thing that I want to communicate, and what I'd like you to sort of take away from this in terms of how you're going to apply this, is that just using it in your office isn't enough. But what we said in episode 8, when we talked about 2xing or doubling the amount of appointments and arrivals you're getting from screenings, right? Is the whole point is that you're not going to sign everybody up, because not everybody is in that state of mind that makes them ready to cross your threshold. And the thing is you need more ways of connecting up with them in between when you saw them for 5 minutes at a screening and the next time you're going to contact them, because you do need to follow up with them repeatedly. What a brilliant idea to be able to take a product like this that handles the top symptoms. And Desiree, correct me if I'm wrong, CalMag C is very good at the handling of the sleep problem and these fatigue and energy problems.
Absolutely. I mean, there are many testimonials on the site that can be, and that is a big one that comes up. Sleep is the top one. And I mean, from a chiropractic point of view, too, we have this other guy in Dr. Matt here in Florida. What he says, it helps the muscles by decreasing pain post-treatment or exercise soreness. And just that in itself, if that is all, the guy's relaxed, he's going to sleep. Yeah. It all helps in that direction.
Absolutely. And so there you have it from Desiree herself. I mean, she's even saying these are the most popular ones that she gets, the symptoms that she gets reports on, that this helped such and such and such and so. And this is what we're trying to get the chiropractors to realize, is that if they use something like this in their marketing to be able to handle those symptoms, number one, it handles that thing of when I said, God, you go to a screening and you're talking to somebody and you're all ready to handle some kind of pain they're in, and they're saying, I have difficulty sleeping, and you're trying to relate chiropractic to a sleep problem. And there's no sleep gland, there's no sleep bone, there's no sleep nerve, none of that. It's sort of this orchestrated, symphony of activity that goes on in the body just to create the state of sleep. And when that's interrupted, how do you explain to somebody, well, here's what we do with chiropractic? But if somebody's not ready to sign up from that, and they're not ready to bump up to the level where they're ready to come see you, well, you can at least make them come see you to get this product and actually recommend it to them. You can actually use it as something you give away free at the screening. So let me get into brief about that. I'm actually glad you brought up Dr. Matt as well. Desiree, because that was one of the quotes I had in my notes here for today, and I'm going to repeat the quote you just said, helps the muscles by decreasing pain, post-treatment, or exercise soreness. Those are all very valuable things. But on top of that, there's testimonial after testimonial on your website about sleep, fatigue, more energy, all that kind of stuff. And it's a product that can be sold retail in the office, but I want to now make this point, it can be used as a promotional product that you can either give samples of, or you can actually give away entire canisters of this product at your screenings to people who have these types of problems, and then get them trying it, using it. It'll give you, number one, an excuse to follow up with them, and number two, it will give them an excuse to come to your office without having to worry about I have to come in for an exam or I'm going to get sold or whatever. They now know that this is the guy in the area who exclusively carries this product, and I need to go to him to get it. And then after even several trips to your office, you have a really good shot. Because here's one thing I know, and Desiree, you may not know this about our doctors and what I found over the years, is all of our doctors, the reason that they work with us is because they have one problem. It's not a problem in closing patients. Once a guy shows up in their office, they're a minimum of 80% close rate on getting them closed on a treatment plan. So the actual problem is getting the person to arrive in the office in the first place. And this is the first thing we teach in our screening training, that the whole thing that you're going after with your whole screening process and all your marketing is not selling chiropractic. It's not anything other than getting people to arrive in your office. And we're looking for more things to do that. And what I see in this CalMag C is not just a product you can sell to patients, not just something that's going to drastically enhance the treatment you're giving, but something that you can use to lure people to come to your office. And this could be used as a screening and marketing and practice promotion, practice growth tool. Okay? And
Perfect,
and Des, the reason that I brought up Dr. Matt from Florida is because I believe this Dr. Matt in Florida private labels it. Don't you do private labeling?
Yeah, and he's got, and I actually find the name he's chosen quite cute. It's called Magical, so Mag-E-Cal.
Right,
and,
wow.
Yeah.
That's actually quite awesome. I like that.
Yeah, it's like a bit of fun in it too, yeah.
Absolutely, Magical, and it is like magic. So
magical, yeah.
Yeah, magical.
That's right.
I really like plays on words, so you're preaching to the choir here. But yeah, so it even comes with the opportunity to even private label if you're doing it in a sufficient quantity and what have you. And Desiree has always been very cooperative with people that we've sent her. I've sent numerous people to work with Desiree over the last couple of years who are now selling the CalMag C in their office. And we actually want to get more doctors using this as a bridge over to the person who doesn't get closed at the screening, the person who can't possibly be made ready to show up in 5 minutes at a screening. And that's really the point that we want to make from that. Let me ask you a question, Des. Do you think I summed that up pretty well in terms of how simply we use this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I love that concept of, getting the guy to take the CalMag and then coming to have a reason for him to come to the practice.
Exactly. So let me just sort of tie this all together and suffice to say that the product actually, my suggestion on how you use this is you buy a case of it for a very reasonable price. It's really not expensive at all. You buy a case of this, and when you mark it up retail, if you were to sell half the case at retail price in your office, then you just made back the money that you spent on the case, and the other half of case you could use in your promotion, and you can use as free giveaways. Or you could sell it all. You could sell it at your screenings. You could just charge for it at the screening and then get them using the product coming back to your office. The whole point is you use it as a bridge. You use it as a way to get the person to come to your office. You use it as a way to give them something and an excuse to follow up with them. How are you doing with the CalMag C? So on and so forth. So it actually pays you back even if you got no patients out of it. The product pays you back, and you'll even make a little profit on it. So, and again, we're not in this to do profit. We're in this to see how many more people can we stay in contact with, and this is just another way to stay in contact with them. So that's that. Okay, so
that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm glad you approved this.
Yeah.
So let's recap. Okay. CalMag C, you've heard from Desiree. I wanted to get her here on the show just so you can hear about the product itself, to hear that this isn't some lotion or potion or sort of, drink or juice or a beverage or a pill or whatever, that this is actually an essential mineral supplement, and that it's something that's vitally needed and something that is addressing something that's missing in people's lives. And I know you guys know that, and you see this in your practice, and I know we're talking sense to you. So I wanted to encourage Des to be on the show, and a little toward the end, I'm going to make sure that you find out how you can hook up with her personally and have a dialogue with her about that. So CalMag C, you see the benefits. You've heard right from doctors who are using it here. So, but mainly what I want you to understand is that this now, because it addresses these top problems on the list, okay, and I know I left weight loss off of it, But just keep in mind what you tell patients, that pain is actually part of a deterrent to the weight loss process, right? So just keep that in mind. So let's call it the top 3 things on the list. You can actually now address those without having to be awkward and trying to say, well, if we adjust you and you're in proper adjustment, blah, 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 you can sleep better, and people aren't getting it. Now you can just give them something direct. And that's an excuse to stay in touch with them and actually continually call them, write them letters, write them emails, invite them into the office, even get them back to buy more product. And at least they're buying product and coming back and forth to your office. And eventually, maybe something happens. Maybe they get an injury and they need something. Or maybe they just one day they come into the office. But the point is that you have this bridge over. And that's really what I want to go with, okay? And that is how you can use Instant CalMag C to be able to help you further apply this 2xing minimum of the results you're getting from screenings. Okay, so the last word. Who gets the last word? I do. After all, it's my show. So what should we take away from today's podcast? Okay, if anything, I hope that you take away the idea that there are other things that you can do, other services you can provide, and products that you can offer that will connect someone up to your office. It's not about the money. And you see here, we even gave you something that'll fuel and pay for your marketing. There's automatic return on investment. It pays for itself because you can sell some of it and make some money back on it if you desire. Some people will just spend the money out on a case and they'll call it a marketing expense. It's minimal as marketing goes, and you know how much money you've spent on marketing in the past. It's genius. It's just pure genius. So I sincerely hope that with a broader spectrum before you of marketing ideas like this, that you can find out how to connect and stay connected to the majority out there. Remember, the majority are not ready to close in 5 minutes at a screening. The majority of the people you meet are not first day closes. So stay connected to them until they are. They will come around. So keep up with them, okay? Excellent. Hey, wouldn't it be amazing if we could look back on this moment and say this is where it all changed? I think I'm going to say this every show. I'm just in love with that idea. 1 new patient a day, hiring those CMAs, and multiplying the 1 new patient a day to 5 new patients a day, finding new patient hotspots and doubling your screening results, spreading the message through the doctored movie and getting people to understand what you guys have been through and to really understand chiropractic like never before. Wouldn't that be amazing? I would love for that to happen. So that's great. Now, as a result of today's show, I think it was a successful episode 9. What do you think, Desiree? Did you like being part of this or what?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Did you have a ball with us today or no?
I did, yeah. Okay. And it's also nice just to re-look at my own background. It's really nice. I like it.
Very good. Excellent. And actually, just so you folks know, Desiree would not lie to me. She would actually tell it like it is to me if she had anything but a good time today. So that's good. All right. So let's talk about, Des, real quick, your contact info. I believe they can contact you directly, info@calmag-c.com. Is that correct? Okay. Correct. And I'm just going to, I got your phone number off the website here, 877 toll-free 700-7717. Lucky sevens. You like those sevens, huh? Yeah. Okay. And from what I understand, they can contact you direct, yes, by phone as well?
Yes, sure. And if I don't take it, they can just leave a message.
Okay, great. So how about 727-642-8087? We'll call it the Desiree hotline, and you can contact her personally. You can also contact me through the show, frank.screenings@live.com. You know I love getting your feedback, and I will gladly forward any information to Desiree. There are links to her website. We're going to make sure all her information is on all of our social media, so it'll be on our Twitter page. We'll tweet about it. We'll Google Plus, and we'll make sure something's on our Facebook page. Willwork4patients.com corrals all of our social media. You can click on it there. And you can also find out direct information about chiropractors and CalMag. Very clever. Desiree has a page called CalMag4Chiros.com. CalMag, the number 4, Chiros.com, CHIROS.com. Okay? Now, the next episode, well, we're not working on 1 episode, so this is still in question, but no worries. We've got a blockbuster lineup of subjects, and especially guests. Dr. Frank Margella and Desiree Lotz, merely the beginning, folks. We even have a surprise guest coming up, someone that's at the top of their game. So April is going to be the month. Quite a lineup. So stay tuned, okay? I will work for patients. Incidentally, so will Desiree. So, will you?
Yeah.
All right. We need some brave souls, okay? Come on, guys. Let's get into this, huh? Dr. the Movie, let me just quickly make another plug to that. We need some more volunteers to get this thing moving. Dr. Frank Margella, 200 people to a movie theater in Nashville. It was wonderful. So, and let's have some fun along the way. I need your pictures. Send me in pictures with your cardboard sign that says, "Will work for patients," okay? Go to our Instagram. We're getting a ton of them now up there, and we really want your spirit. So please send in your pictures. Tag us on Instagram, tag us in your social media, or just email me a picture of you, and we'll make sure it gets up on our Instagram. We're doing a little contest, and we want you to email with the answer to the question, what will you do for patients? And the more ridiculous, the better. Do you remember the Klondike bar commercials that were on TV here in the U.S.? Way back when, they may even still, what would you do for a Klondike bar? What will you do for a patient? That's what I want to know. Okay. So now, folks, I say we have Desiree back. Desiree, would you like to come back at some point, maybe talk about another subject? Or
I would enjoy that very much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. Well, we'll make sure everybody gets in touch with you in the meantime, and I'm sure we'll want to have you back as a guest. You were absolutely delightful. Last plug, free resources, folks. YouTube, go to our screeningexperts.com website. At the bottom, you'll see a thing that says free resources. We have 2 free YouTube videos you can embed on your website, in your social media, share them. We also have a free blog, chiropracticmarketingadvice.com. Articles you can use. My usual plug, guys, listen, subscribe, download. willworkforpatients.com will tell you how. We have all the social media there. We have a link now to BeyondPod, which is a great app for the Android you can tune in on. We're in iTunes, and you can subscribe to our RSS feed. Remember, this is a grassroots effort to make a chiropractic world like we all want. So let's make every episode count, huh? I know I can count on you. So, my friends, we've come to the end of another magnificent episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. On behalf of myself, Desiree, our announcer Michelle, and the rest of the Screening Experts crew, I thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon for yet another blockbuster episode of Will Work for Patients. So long.
Be sure to subscribe and share. Will Work for Patients has been brought to you courtesy of Screening Experts, bringing unscripted simplicity to chiropractic marketing complexity. Today's episode, copyright Screening Experts LLC, musical score composed and arranged by Frank Sardella ASCAP. For more information, visit screeningexperts.com.